The ice hit Camilla Reyes's face like tiny blades as she sprinted down Northwest 10th Avenue. Her camera bag slammed against her ribs with every frantic step. Behind her, Kyle's voice sliced through the freezing Portland night. "Camila, stop running. We need to talk about us." There was no us. Hadn't been for 3 years, not since she'd walked away from his obsessive need to monitor her every breath, every client meeting, every conversation. But Kyle couldn't accept reality. He'd followed her to the Hastings engagement shoot tonight, watched from across the street like she was still his to surveil. The vintage bookshop materialized through the sleet-warm light spilling onto wet cobblestones in Portland's Pearl District. She yanked the door open and stumbled inside, lungs burning. A brass bell chimed. Soft, elegant, completely wrong for the panic clawing through her chest. "We're actually—" A man's voice stopped mid-sentence. Camila looked up and forgot how to breathe. He stood between towering shelves of leather-bound books, tall and dark-haired, with storm-gray eyes that seemed to register everything in one glance. He wore an expensive charcoal suit with the tie loosened, like formality had been choking him all day. Not handsome, devastating. "Please," her voice came out broken. "I just need a minute." His gaze shifted to the window. Kyle stood outside, phone pressed to his ear, scanning the street for her. Something hardened in the stranger's expression. Recognition, maybe. Not of her, but of the situation. Like he'd witnessed this exact scene before and understood it in ways that made her throat tight. "Come away from the door." His tone was quiet, but absolute. "There's a chair in the back room. You're shaking." She was. Her whole body trembled with more than cold. Camila released the door handle and followed him past shelves lined with rare editions and vintage cameras displayed like art. The shop smelled like old paper and leather and something expensive she couldn't name. Cedarwood, maybe. He pulled out a velvet reading chair near an antique desk, then grabbed his suit jacket from a coat stand. "You're soaked through." "I'll ruin it." "It's just fabric." The corner of his mouth lifted. Not quite a smile. "I have others." Of course he did. Men who looked like that always did. Camila took the jacket. It was still warm from his body and smelled clean, masculine, like winter forests. She wrapped it around her shoulders, disappearing into sleeves meant for someone much larger. "Thank you." He nodded once, then moved to the front window, staying to the side, careful, like he knew exactly how to observe without being seen. "The man outside," he said quietly. "Should I be calling someone?" "No." Too fast. "He's not. He wouldn't hurt me. Not physically. He doesn't understand that no means no." It wasn't a question. "No," she whispered. "He doesn't." The shop fell silent, except for sleet tapping against old glass. Camilla pulled the jacket tighter, fighting the urge to cry. She was 33 years old, a professional photographer with her own business, and here she sat, hiding in a stranger's bookshop like a frightened child. "He's gone," the man said, turning from the window. "But he's probably still nearby." "He usually is." "Sorry, that sounded pathetic." It sounded honest. He crossed to the desk, retrieved bottled water from a small refrigerator. "I'm Dominic." "Camila." She accepted the water. Their fingers brushed. Electricity sparked up her arm, from the cold probably. Have you ever had to hide from someone who claimed to love you? Drop a comment if you understand what Camilla's feeling right now. "I really am sorry for barging in," she managed. You needed somewhere safe. He said it simply, like safety was a right, not a privilege. You don't apologize for that. She opened the water with trembling hands. Do you own this place? My mentor did. Vincent Cross. Something soft entered his expression. Grief unmistakable. He passed 4 months ago. I've been sorting through his collection, deciding what stays. I'm sorry. And she meant it. Loss was something Camilla knew intimately. 6 years since her mother died, and some days it still felt like yesterday. Dominic picked up a vintage camera from the desk, a Leica M3, museum quality. Vincent loved finding beauty in forgotten things, he said quietly. Rare books, old cameras, people others had written off. He used to say everything deserves a second chance, even broken things. The words hit Camilla square in the chest. She stared at this stranger, this Dominic, and wondered if he knew what those words meant to someone like her, someone who'd spent 3 years reassembling herself after Kyle had methodically dismantled her confidence. "That's beautiful," she whispered. He was. Dominic set down the camera. "Are you warm enough? I can make tea. There's a hot plate in the back." "You don't have to." "I know." Those gray eyes locked on hers. "But I'm going to anyway, unless you have somewhere you need to be." She should leave, should thank him and walk out and never return. That would be smart, safe. But something about the way he looked at her, really looked, not through her or past her, made Camilla want to stay. "Tea sounds nice." His smile was small but genuine, reaching his eyes and warming something cold inside her chest. "Earl Grey or chamomile?" "Surprise me." Dominic's apartment above the bookshop was exactly what Camilla expected from a man who loved rare things. Cozy, cluttered with beautiful objects, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Pearl District's rain-slicked streets. But he didn't stop in the main living area. He led her to a corner where an old steamer trunk sat open, overflowing with photographs. Black and white images of Portland through the decades, color shots of the Columbia River Gorge, Polaroids of moments caught and preserved. Vincent was a photographer before he became a book dealer, Dominic said quietly. He documented the Pacific Northwest for 40 years, every corner, every season, every moment of beauty he could capture. He picked up a photo, Multnomah Falls at sunrise, mist rising like spirits. He said photographs were proof that beauty existed even on the hardest days. Camilla's hands trembled as she reached for the trunk. These weren't just photos. They were legacy, history, art. "Why are you showing me this?" Dominic met her eyes. "Last night, when you mentioned being a photographer, your whole face changed, like you'd forgotten to be scared and remembered to be alive. I thought maybe you'd understand what these meant, what he meant." Understanding crashed through her. This wasn't just tea and kindness. This was Dominic inviting her into his grief, his memories, the parts of himself he kept protected. This was trust. "He must have been incredible," she whispered. "He was." His voice cracked slightly. "And he would have liked you, would have said you have a photographer's soul, the kind that sees past surfaces to truth underneath." Camilla looked up at this man with his expensive suit and his mentor's photographs and made a choice. She stepped closer, took his hand. "Tell me about him," she said. "Tell me everything." And he did. They sat on the floor of that apartment above the bookshop, surrounded by 40 years of captured moments. Dominic talked about the mentor who'd taken him in after his parents died in a car accident when he was 19, who taught him that wealth was just a tool, but character was a legacy, who died in his sleep 4 months ago with a smile on his face and a photograph clutched in his hands. Somewhere in the telling, the tea grew cold. Neither noticed. Somewhere in the listening, Camilla's walls cracked open, just a little, just enough. And when Dominic's voice finally broke on a memory of Vincent teaching him to develop film in a makeshift darkroom, Camilla did something she hadn't done in 3 years. She let herself be vulnerable, reached over and pulled him into a hug that said, "I see you. I see your pain. You're not alone." Dominic's arms came around her, held tight. And in that moment, surrounded by memories and photographs and second chances, something began that neither could stop. Something that looked a lot like falling. What would you do if a stranger showed you their deepest grief on the first night you met? Comment below. I want to know if you'd stay or run. Her phone buzzed. Kyle's name flashed. "I saw you go into that shop." "I'll wait as long as it takes. We belong together, Cam." Camilla's stomach turned. She showed Dominic the screen. His jaw clenched. "How long has this been going on?" 3 years, since I left him." "That's not love." Dominic's voice went hard. "That's obsession." "I know." She closed her eyes. "I know it is." He stood, pulled out his phone. "I'm calling a car service. They'll take you home safely. And tomorrow, if you want, I know attorneys who specialize in harassment cases." "Dominic, I can't afford." "You're not paying." His eyes were gentle but firm. "Let me help, please." 20 minutes later, a black sedan arrived. Dominic walked her to the door, one hand on the small of her back, protective but not controlling. "If you ever need somewhere safe again," he said as she stepped into the rain, "the shop's here. I'm here." She looked back at him, framed in warm light. "Why are you being so kind to me?" "Because someone should be." His smile was soft. "Take care, Camilla." The drive home felt surreal. She pulled out the business card the driver had given her. Dominic Cross. Cross Privacy Technologies. And a phone number. Her breath caught. Dominic Cross. She knew that name. Everyone in the tech world knew that name. Cross privacy-protected government agencies, major corporations, activists in dangerous countries. They'd gone public 8 years ago, made headlines when Dominic turned down a $3 billion buyout because the acquiring company wanted access to user data. She'd been hiding in a billionaire's dead mentor's bookshop. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Camilla, it's Dominic. The driver confirmed you're home safe. I wanted to make sure your ex didn't follow. If you need anything, and I mean anything, please don't hesitate to call. No pressure. Just, I sleep better knowing you're safe. D." Camilla sat in her small Selwood apartment, staring at that text, and felt something terrifying bloom in her chest. Hope. 3 weeks could change everything. Camilla discovered this on a frozen December morning while editing photos in her apartment. Her phone buzzed. 5th text from Dominic that week, and it was only Wednesday. "There's a holiday market at Pioneer Courthouse Square tonight. Overpriced crafts, mediocre hot cider, carolers who can't carry a tune. Want to freeze with me? D." She smiled before she could stop herself. That was the thing about Dominic Cross. He made smiling feel easy again. How mediocre are we talking? Kuh. Life-alteringly bad. You'll want to document it. Bring your camera. D. What time? C. 6. I'll pick you up. And before you say you can meet me there, I know you can. I want to pick you up anyway. D. 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, Dominic had become the first person she thought about in the morning and the last voice she heard at night. They'd had 5 actual dates. Coffee at Stumptown, dinner at Le Pigeon, a walk through Powell's City of Books that lasted 4 hours, an afternoon when he'd taught her Vincent's apple pie recipe and they'd ended up covered in flour, laughing until her ribs ached. 5 dates, countless texts, and not once, not one single time had he pushed for more than she was ready to give. Sage said it was refreshing. Uncle Mateo said it was respectful. Aunt Rosalind said it meant Dominic was serious. Camilla just knew it terrified her, because caring this much, this fast, meant there was so much more to lose. 6 works. Fair warning, I'd take a lot of photos. C. Fair warning, I'm extremely photogenic. D. She laughed out loud. He was, annoyingly. She had maybe 300 photos on her phone proving it. Not that she was counting. Dominic picked her up at exactly 6 in a black Tesla that probably cost more than she'd make in 10 years. He'd traded his usual suits for dark jeans, boots, and a charcoal peacoat that made his gray eyes look silver under the streetlights. "You're staring," he said as she climbed in. "You're wearing a coat that costs more than my rent. Would you prefer I wore something cheaper?" "I'd prefer you stop looking like you walked out of a cologne commercial." His laugh was warm, rich. "I'll work on that. Maybe grow a terrible beard, wear sweatpants everywhere." "Please don't. The world isn't ready." They drove through Portland with the windows cracked, cold air mixing with warmth from the vents. Holiday lights twinkled from every storefront. The city took December seriously. Bridges wrapped in white lights, trees in every square. "Vincent loved this time of year," Dominic said quietly. "Dragged me to every market, every lighting ceremony. Said if you couldn't find joy in December, you weren't looking hard enough." Camila reached over, placed her hand on his. "Sounds like he was wise." "The wisest." He glanced at her, something soft crossing his face. "He would have loved you. Would have said you have an old soul. Is that code for I worry too much?" "It's code for you understand that beautiful things are fragile, so you handle them with care." His hand turned, fingers threading through hers. "It's a compliment." Her breath caught. This man, this impossible, kind, wealthy, grieving man who looked at her like she was rare instead of damaged. I don't know how to do this," she whispered. "Do what?" "Let someone be good to me without waiting for the other shoe to drop." Dominic pulled into a parking spot near Pioneer Square, turned off the engine, shifted to face her fully. "Kyle really did a number on you, didn't he?" It wasn't a question. Still, she answered. 5 years of being told I wasn't enough, that I needed him, that without him I'd fail, fall apart, disappear. Her voice cracked. 3 years later, and I'm still waiting to prove him wrong. Camila. Dominic cupped her face in his hands, warm, gentle. You already proved him wrong. You built a business, you're thriving, you're here right now, choosing to trust someone new even though every instinct tells you to run. His thumb brushed her cheek. That's not weakness, that's the bravest thing I've ever seen. Tears burned behind her eyes. What if I mess this up? Then we'll mess it up together. He smiled, soft and real. I'm not perfect, Camila. I work too much. I'm still figuring out who I am without Vincent's guidance. I have a scar on my shoulder from a surfing accident in Costa Rica that I lie about and say came from something cooler." His eyes held hers. "I'm just a man who thinks you're extraordinary and wants to see where this goes. No pressure, no expectations, just possibility." Possibility. When was the last time Camilla had believed in that? She leaned forward, pressed her forehead to his. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay, let's see where this goes." His smile was brilliant. "Yeah?" "Yeah." Dominic kissed her forehead, soft, reverent, like she was something precious. Then he pulled back, eyes dancing. "Good, because I bought us tickets to the VIP hot cider experience, and it would be a shame to waste them." "There's a VIP hot cider experience?" "There is, when you donate enough to the Portland Winter Fund." She shook her head, laughing. "You're ridiculous." "I'm generous. There's a difference." Tell me in the comments, is falling this fast a red flag or just rare? I need to know what you think. January hit Portland with bitter cold and chaos. Camila woke in Dominic's penthouse on a Sunday morning to her phone exploding. Notifications flooded her screen. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, email, all from people she barely knew or hadn't spoken to in years. She opened Instagram with shaking hands. Kyle had posted a long, emotional caption about being ghosted by the love of his life for some tech billionaire who sees her as a trophy. About how money couldn't buy real love. About how he was fighting for what's right. He'd tagged her, tagged cross-privacy technologies, made their relationship public in the worst possible way. The comments were vicious. Some supported Kyle. Others called Camilla a gold digger. Some said Dominic was using her. "No!" The word came out strangled. "No! No! No!" Dominic emerged from the bathroom, took one look at her face, and grabbed the phone. His expression went deadly calm. "When's your meeting with my attorney?" "Tomorrow at 10. "Good. We're adding defamation to the restraining order filing." He started typing on his own phone. "I'm calling my PR team. This ends today." "Dominic, your company will be fine." His voice was steel. "This is slander, Camilla. He doesn't get to do this." But the damage was done. Her phone kept buzzing. Friends asking if she was okay, clients asking if the drama would affect their events, Sage demanding she call immediately. And through it all, Kyle's post kept spreading. More attention, more comments, more shares. He'd made their private relationship a public spectacle, made her look like exactly what she feared, a woman using a rich man for his money. "I need to respond," Camilla said. "I need to tell people the truth." "No." Dominic's tone was firm. "You don't engage. That's what he wants. Attention, a reaction. You stay silent. Let the lawyers handle it." "But people think—" "People who matter know the truth." He pulled her into his arms. "Everyone else can think whatever they want. I know who you are, Camilla. You know who you are. That's what matters." She wanted to believe him. But her phone kept buzzing, and Kyle's poison kept spreading. Have you ever been publicly shamed for something that wasn't true? Drop a comment. What did you do? By Wednesday, Camilla had lost 5 clients. Corporate events canceled, engagement shoots postponed indefinitely. Each email a variation of the same theme. Given recent events, we need to go in a different direction. Recent events? Like it was her fault Kyle had turned their lives into a circus. She sat in her Selwood apartment, staring at the cancellation emails, numb. Sage arrived with coffee and fury. This is garbage. You're the best event photographer in Portland, and these people know it. They also know I come with baggage now. Camilla's voice was hollow. Where's Dominic? Emergency board meeting. Something about the PR response. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Hello? Kyle's voice made her skin crawl. Camila, we need to talk. I have a restraining order against you. The order says I can't come within 500 feet. Doesn't say I can't call. His voice was smooth, victorious. I assume you've heard about the lawsuit. Her blood ran cold. What lawsuit? Check your email. I filed this morning. He paused. Defamation and tortious interference. Against Dominic personally, claiming he deliberately destroyed our relationship and damaged my reputation with his money and influence. That's insane. We weren't together when... I have texts, Camila. Emails from when we were together that I'm presenting as recent. My lawyers say it's a strong case. His voice dropped. But I'll drop it. All of it goes away. Dominic's reputation stays intact. His board doesn't question his judgment. Everything goes back to normal. She couldn't breathe. Why would you do that? Because I love you. I always have. And I'm willing to forgive everything if you just come back to me. Leave Dominic. Come home. Be with me. That's all I've ever wanted. The audacity! The sheer narcissistic audacity! You think I'd come back to you after everything you've done? I think you'll do what's right for the man you claim to love. Kyle's voice hardened. That lawsuit is going to destroy him, Camilla. Discovery alone will take months. His company's stock is already dropping. His board is questioning his leadership, all because of you, because he was stupid enough to fall for you. Stop it. But it doesn't have to be this way. You leave him. Come back to me. I drop the lawsuit. Dominic gets to keep his precious company. You get to not be the woman who destroyed a billionaire's empire. Win-win. Camilla's hands trembled. You're insane. I'm practical. And deep down, you know I'm right. You don't belong in his world, Camilla. You never did. You're a Selwood photographer. He's a tech billionaire. That fairy tale was never going to last. The line went dead. Camilla sat there, Kyle's words echoing in her skull. The woman who destroyed a billionaire's empire. You don't belong in his world. Be brave enough to leave. What would you do? Sacrifice your happiness to save someone you love? Or fight, even if it costs them everything? Tell me in the comments. Sage grabbed the phone from Camilla's shaking hands. What did he say? He offered to drop the lawsuit. Camilla's voice sounded far away. If I leave Dominic and go back to him, that manipulative son of a... What if he's right? The words tumbled out. What if I am destroying Dominic? His company, his reputation, everything he's built. All because I was too weak to stay away. Camila Wallace, you listen to me. But Camila couldn't listen, couldn't hear anything over the roaring in her ears. Derek's lawsuit would destroy Dominic. The board meeting happening right now could cost him his company. All of it traced back to her, to loving her. And maybe Kyle was right. Maybe the bravest thing she could do was walk away before she destroyed the only man who'd ever truly loved her. Her phone rang. Uncle Mateo. Mija, you need to come to the restaurant now. Fear spiked through her. What's wrong? Is Aunt Rosalind? We're fine, but Kyle was here. He came during lunch rush, started making a scene. Her uncle's voice shook with anger. Said some things about you and Dominic, about your relationship, about how you were being manipulated. Tio, I'm so sorry. Don't apologize for his behavior. Just come. We need to talk about this, all of us. 30 minutes later, Camilla sat in the back office of Mateo's restaurant in southeast Portland. Her uncle paced. Aunt Rosalind perched on the desk, face tight with concern. He stood in the middle of my restaurant, Mateo said, and told my customers that my niece was a gold digger, that she'd abandoned her fiancé for a billionaire's bank account. We were never engaged, Camilla whispered. I never said yes. I know that, Mija, but he's rewriting history, making you the villain. Her uncle stopped pacing. I threw him out, told him if he came back, I'd call the police. But Camila, this man is dangerous. Not physically, maybe, but he's trying to destroy your life. He's trying to destroy Dominic's life. Her voice broke. And he's succeeding. The door opened. Dominic walked in, still in his suit from the board meeting. He looked exhausted. Tie loosened, hair disheveled, eyes red. But when he saw Camilla, his entire expression crumbled. I got your uncle's message. He crossed the room, pulled her into his arms. Are you okay? She shook her head against his chest, couldn't speak. Mateo cleared his throat. Mr. Cross, I think you should know what Kyle's doing. The lawsuit, the public harassment. I know. Dominic's voice was tight. My lawyers are handling it. We're filing a countersuit for harassment, abusive process, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Will it work? Rosalind asked quietly. It should. Kyle doesn't have a real case. He's just trying to scare us, make us miserable. Dominic pulled back enough to look at Camila. But it's going to get worse before it gets better. Depositions, court filings, everything about our relationship becoming public record. You're bored, Camilla managed. What did they say? Something flickered across his face. They're standing behind me. For now. For now. Those two words carried the weight of everything unsaid. Dominic, if this threatens your company... It won't. But if it does... Camila, he cupped her face. Look at me. Whatever happens, we face it together. You don't get to decide what I can handle or what I'm willing to sacrifice. Uncle Mateo spoke up. She's trying to protect you, son. That's what people do when they love someone. I know. Dominic's eyes never left Camilla's. But I don't need protecting. I need a partner. Someone who'll fight beside me, not run when things get hard. Camilla stared at this man who'd risked everything for her and felt something crack open in her chest. I'm scared, she whispered. I know. I'm scared too. He pressed his forehead to hers. But I'm more scared of losing you. So please, please don't push me away. Fight with me, not against me. She wanted to. God, she wanted to. But Kyle's words kept echoing. You don't belong in his world. You'll destroy him. If loving someone meant they might lose everything, would you stay or leave? I need to hear your thoughts. Comment below and subscribe. That night, Camilla lay in Dominic's penthouse, staring at the ceiling while he slept beside her. She could leave, could pack her things before dawn, disappear before he woke up. Save him from the lawsuit, the stock drops, the board questioning his judgment. Save him from her? It would hurt. God, it would destroy her. But wasn't that love? Sacrifice? Protecting the person you loved even when it broke you? Her hand reached for her camera bag. Stopped. Because on the nightstand sat a photograph Dominic had framed last week. One she'd taken of him at the holiday market. Eyes warm, smile genuine, looking at her like she'd hung every star in the sky. She'd asked him why that one out of hundreds she'd taken. He'd said, "Because it's how I look when I'm with you, like I'm home, and I want to remember that feeling every single day." Home. Camila picked up the frame, studied that smile, that look, and something inside her transformed, not breaking, shifting. Kyle wanted her to run, wanted her to believe she was the problem, the mess, the thing destroying Dominic's perfect life. But Dominic had never had a perfect life. He'd lost his parents too young, lost Vincent too recently, built an empire while grieving. And through all of it, he'd chosen kindness over bitterness, love over fear. He'd chosen her. Every single day, he'd chosen her. Who was she to take that choice away from him? Who was she to decide what he could handle, what he was willing to sacrifice, what he deserved? Kyle's narrative had been in her head so long she'd forgotten it was a lie. She wasn't damaged. She was a survivor. She wasn't a burden. She was a woman who'd rebuilt herself from nothing. She wasn't destroying Dominic. She was loving him. And he was loving her back. And that was worth fighting for. Camilla stood, set down the photograph, picked up her phone, called the one person besides Dominic who'd always believed in her. "Tio." Mateo's voice was warm despite the late hour. "Mija, you okay?" "No," her voice cracked. "But I'm going to be. I need you to tell me something." "Anything." "Am I worth it? All this chaos, all the drama Kyle's causing. Am I worth Dominic risking everything?" Her uncle was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke, voice thick with emotion. "Your mother, God rest her, used to say that love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone worth fighting for, someone who makes the fight worthwhile." He paused. "You are worth every fight, every sacrifice, every hard moment, and Dominic knows that. That's why he's fighting." Tears streamed down Camilla's face. "What if I'm not strong enough?" "You are. You've always been. You just forgot for a minute." She could hear the smile in his voice. "Now stop letting Kyle win. Go be the woman your mother raised, the woman Dominic fell in love with, the fighter." "I love you, Tio." "I love you too, Mija. Now go get your man." Camila was sitting on the couch when Dominic woke at dawn. He found her there, still in yesterday's clothes, eyes red but determined. "Camila?" He crossed to her in 3 steps. "What's wrong? Were you up all night?" "Kyle called me yesterday," she said quietly. "Offered to drop the lawsuit if I came back to him." Dominic went very still. "And?" "And I almost left you." She looked up at him. "I almost packed my things and walked away because I thought I was destroying you, thought I was the problem." His face went white. "Camila!" "Let me finish." She stood, cupped his face in her hands. "But then I realized something. You don't need saving. You need a partner. Someone who will fight beside you, not run when things get hard." Her voice grew stronger. "I'm done letting Kyle control my choices. I'm done believing his lies about who I am. And I'm sure as hell done thinking I'm not worthy of you." She pressed her forehead to his. I love you, Dominic Cross. Not because you're rich or successful or because you can solve my problems. I love you because you see me, because you make me want to be braver. Because when I'm with you, I'm not scared Camilla who apologizes for existing. I'm just Camilla. And for the first time in my life, that's enough. Dominic's eyes filled with tears. It's more than enough. You're everything. Then let's fight together. She kissed him hard. Let Kyle sue. Let him throw everything he has at us. We'll bury him in court. We'll rebuild my business. We'll show the world that love isn't about being perfect. It's about choosing each other when everything's falling apart. You mean that? Every word, she smiled through her tears. I'm not going anywhere. You're stuck with me. His laugh was broken, beautiful. Best news I've had all year. If you're watching this and you've ever had to choose between protecting someone or fighting alongside them, tell me your story in the comments. This community needs to hear it. The next 2 weeks were a blur of legal meetings, depositions, and strategy sessions. But this time, Camila didn't face it alone. Dominic's attorneys tore Kyle's case apart piece by piece, proved the texts and emails were from years ago, not recent, presented the restraining order filing, Uncle Mateo's testimony about Kyle showing up at the restaurant, 2 years of documented harassment. Sage testified about the controlling behavior she'd witnessed during Camilla and Kyle's relationship, about the times Camilla had called her crying because Kyle needed to know where she was every second. And Camilla herself sat in that deposition room and told her truth, calmly, clearly, without apology. Kyle's lawyers tried to rattle her, tried to paint her as a gold digger who'd manipulated Dominic. Camila looked them dead in the eye. I fell in love with a kind man who treated me with respect. If that makes me a gold digger, then I'm guilty. But I think it just makes me human. The lawyers had nothing to say to that. Some people say the truth always wins in court. Others say money talks louder. What do you think? Drop your opinion below. By the 3rd week of February, Kyle's case was collapsing. His lawyer withdrew quietly, citing irreconcilable differences with the client. The lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice, meaning Kyle could never refile. The settlement included Kyle paying Dominic's legal fees, nearly $200,000, and signing an agreement to never contact Camilla again. Ever. The restraining order was made permanent. 10 years, renewable. And just like that, it was over. Camila stood outside the courthouse in downtown Portland, spring rain falling soft and clean, and felt like she could finally breathe. Dominic pulled her into his arms. It's done. He can't touch you anymore. We did it, she whispered. We actually did it. No, he pulled back, smiled. You did it. You stood up. You fought back. You didn't let him win. Her phone buzzed. A new email. She opened it, heart pounding, then started laughing. What? Dominic asked. Oregon Bride magazine wants to feature me. Rising photographer who overcame adversity to build a thriving business. She looked up at him. They want a 6-page spread. His smile was brilliant. Told you. People who matter see the truth. And they did. Over the next month, her phone started ringing again. Apology emails from clients who'd canceled. New inquiries. A profile piece from Portland Monthly about her photography and her resilience. The business was coming back, better than before. March brought cherry blossoms and new beginnings. Camila finished shooting a corporate event at the Sentinel Hotel, her first major booking in 2 months. The client loved her work, booked her for 3 more events on the spot. She drove to the Pearl District through evening traffic, exhausted but happy. Dominic had texted something cryptic about meeting him at the bookshop at 6. When she arrived, the shop was dark, but the door was unlocked. Camila stepped inside and stopped breathing. The bookshop had been transformed. Candles everywhere, white lights strung from the ceiling, and covering every available surface, photographs. Her photographs. Images from her portfolio. Candids she'd taken of Portland. Shots of Dominic she'd collected over the past 4 months. All of them printed, framed, displayed like art. "Oh my God," she whispered. "You said you wanted your work in galleries someday." Dominic emerged from the back room wearing a dark suit. "I thought we'd start with this one." "Dominic, I don't." She turned in a circle, taking it all in. "This is incredible." "It's a preview." He walked toward her slowly. "I bought the building, the shop, the apartment upstairs, all of it. And I'm turning it into a gallery. Your gallery, for your photography." "What?" "I know you want to expand your business, hire other photographers, build something bigger." He took her hands. "This can be your space, your studio, your showcase, whatever you want it to be." He pulled a folder from the desk. "I had lawyers draw up papers. This is a business transaction. You'll pay rent, market rate. I'll be your landlord. Everything professional and legal. This isn't charity, Camilla. It's an investment in a brilliant artist who deserves space to grow." She stared at him, tears blurring her vision. "You bought me a gallery." "I bought you an opportunity." His eyes were soft. "What you do with it is entirely up to you." Camila looked around at her work, displayed, like it mattered, like it was valuable. Like she was valuable. Have you ever had someone believe in your dreams more than you believed in yourself? Tell me about it. Comment below. "This is the most romantic thing anyone's ever done for me," she whispered. "Good," Dominic smiled, "because I'm not done." He dropped to one knee. Time stopped. "Camila Reyes." Dominic's voice was steady, sure. "4 months ago, you ran into this shop trying to escape your past, and you ran straight into your future. My future." He pulled out a ring. Vintage, silver band with a small camera engraved on it. Simple. Perfect. This was Vincent's. He wore it every day for 40 years. Before he died, he told me to give it to someone who understood that beautiful things are worth fighting for. Someone who sees the world the way he did, full of beauty and second chances and possibility. Tears streamed down Camilla's face. "You are my second chance, Camila. My possibility. My everything." His eyes locked on hers. "I don't want to wait. I don't want to waste time being careful. I want to marry you, build a life with you, fill this gallery with your art and our love and everything we're going to create together." "Dominic." "I know it's fast. I know we've only known each other 4 months, but I've never been more certain of anything." He held up the ring. "Marry me. Please, be my wife, my partner, my home." Camila looked at this man kneeling in his mentor's shop, surrounded by her photographs and his love and every beautiful thing they'd survived to get to this moment. And there was only one answer. "Yes." The word came out choked, happy. "Yes, I'll marry you." Dominic's smile was radiant, beautiful. He slid the ring onto her finger. Perfect fit, like it was made for her, and pulled her into a kiss that tasted like tears and joy and forever. When they finally broke apart, Camila laughed through her crying. "Vincent's ring! You're giving me Vincent's ring!" "He would have loved you." Dominic's voice was thick. "Would have said you have his spirit, strong and brave and full of light. I wish I could have met him." "You would have." He pressed his forehead to hers. "He would have taken one look at us and known. Would have said, 'That's your person. Don't let her go.'" "Never," Camilla whispered. "Never letting you go." If this story has touched you at all, hit that like button. Seriously, it helps more than you know. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Don't miss what happens next. They were married 8 weeks later. Small ceremony at the Japanese garden in Washington Park. Late spring arriving with cherry blossoms like celebration. Uncle Mateo walked Camilla down the aisle. Aunt Rosalind cried in the front row. Sage served as maid of honor. Dominic's lawyer brother Marcus as best man. And when the officiant said, "You may kiss your bride," Dominic cupped Camilla's face and whispered, "Hello, Mrs. Cross." She kissed him while their people cheered, and the cherry blossoms fell like snow, and Portland, beautiful, resilient Portland, bore witness to two people who'd found each other in a storm and chosen love anyway. 6 months later, the Reyes Cross Gallery opened on a perfect September afternoon in the Pearl District. Camila stood in the center of the space she'd transformed. Vincent's bookshop was now a showcase for photographers from across the Pacific Northwest. Her work hung alongside 5 other artists she'd hired, young talent, diverse voices, people who deserved to be seen. The opening was packed. Clients, friends, strangers who'd read about the gallery in Willamette Week. Dominic's business contacts who'd become genuinely interested in photography. And in the corner, Uncle Mateo stood with Aunt Rosalind, both beaming with pride. "You did it, mija," her uncle said when she walked over. "Built something beautiful." "We did it!" Camilla looked at Dominic across the room, laughing with Marcus and Sage. "All of us together." Her phone buzzed. Email notification from a wedding client. 5-star review. Camilla Reyes captures more than moments. She captures souls. If you want a photographer who sees the truth of your love, book her. She's extraordinary. Camila smiled, pocketed the phone. Dominic appeared at her side, slid an arm around her waist. "You good?" "Better than good." She leaned into him. "Happy?" "Yeah." He kissed her temple. "Me too." They stood there watching their community celebrate art and love and second chances. And Camila thought about that winter night 4 months ago when she'd run into this shop, terrified and desperate. She'd been looking for escape. She'd found home instead. Family, if you've stayed with this story until now, it clearly touched your heart. This is Tales That Echo, where we don't just tell stories, we share the kind of love that finds you when you least expect it, the kind that changes everything. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what this story meant to you. Hit that like button if Camilla and Dominic's journey spoke to you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, seriously, what's stopping you? Comment below and tell me, because the next story is even more surprising, more emotional than this one, so don't miss it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying. Now tap that next video and keep the journey going.